A bullied teen saved a stray dog, never realizing it was a genius experiment that would change his life. This thought floated through Noah Walker's mind like a distant echo as he stared at the ceiling of his bedroom, wondering how something so small, a chance encounter in the rain, could alter everything. But that was before chance, before everything. 3 months earlier, Noah had shuffled through the school hallways with his shoulders hunched, a human question mark trying to make himself invisible. 16 years old with a mop of unruly dark hair that fell over eyes that had forgotten how to meet others' gazes. He moved like someone constantly anticipating a blow. "Hey, freak show." The voice belonged to Darren Mills, captain of the wrestling team and Noah's personal tormentor since 7th grade. "Still talking to yourself? Heard you in the bathroom. Who's your imaginary friend today?" Noah's throat tightened. He hadn't been talking to himself. He'd been practicing a presentation for biology class. But explanations never mattered with Darren. Explanations just gave him more ammunition. "Leave me alone," Noah muttered, the words barely audible even to himself. What was that? Darren's hand landed heavy on Noah's shoulder, spinning him around. "You got something to say it loud." The circle formed almost instantly, other students gathering to watch, their faces a blur of anticipation and discomfort. Some looked away. None stepped forward. "I said," Noah started, but Darren's hand was already shoving him backward into the lockers. The metal clattered against his spine, the sound echoing down the hallway like a gunshot. "Mr. Mills," the sharp voice of Mrs. Abernathy, the vice principal, cut through the tension. "My office. Now." The crowd dispersed like mist, and Darren backed away with a smirk that promised this wasn't over. It never was. Noah gathered his scattered books, fingers trembling slightly. Another day. Another moment of humiliation. The same cold knot in his stomach that had become as familiar as breathing. At home, the silence greeted him like an old friend. His mother wouldn't be back until late. Double shifts at the hospital had become the norm since his father had walked out 2 years ago. Noah dropped his backpack by the door and headed straight to the kitchen, where he poured a bowl of cereal, even though it was nearly 4 in the afternoon. The house on Maple Street was small but tidy, filled with furniture that had seen better days but was scrubbed clean weekly. Family photos still hung on the walls, though Noah had noticed his mother's eyes skipping over the ones that included his father. Grief had its own geography in their home, places they navigated around without speaking. Rain began to tap against the kitchen window, soft at first, then insistent. Noah watched water trails race down the glass, merging and separating in unpredictable patterns. Something about the rain had always calmed him, even as a child. The white noise of it drowned out the voices in his head, the echoes of taunts, the memory of laughter at his expense. He finished his cereal and was about to retreat to his room when he heard it, a faint whimpering sound coming from somewhere outside. Noah paused, head tilted. There it was again, barely audible beneath the drumming rain. Curiosity pulled him to the back door. The rain had intensified, turning their small backyard into a miniature swamp. Noah scanned the space, seeing nothing at first. Then a movement caught his eye near the dilapidated shed his father had promised to fix but never had. A dog, no, a puppy, huddled against the peeling wood, soaking wet and shivering violently. It was small, possibly still growing, with matted fur that might have been golden if it weren't so filthy. One of its front paws was held slightly off the ground. "Hey there," Noah called softly, stepping out into the rain without grabbing a jacket. The cold drops immediately soaked through his t-shirt, plastering it to his skin. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The puppy's head snapped up, eyes wide with a fear Noah recognized all too well. It tried to back away, but the shed blocked its retreat. The whimpering grew more frantic. "Shh, it's all right," Noah murmured, approaching slowly with his hand outstretched, palm down. He crouched a few feet away, making himself smaller, less threatening. Rain streamed down his face, but he didn't wipe it away. "I'm not going to hurt you." For what felt like minutes, they remained in a standoff. The trembling puppy and the soaked boy, connected by some wordless understanding of what it meant to be afraid and alone. Then, with a hesitation that spoke of past betrayals, the dog inched forward. Its nose twitched as it sniffed Noah's fingertips. "That's it," Noah encouraged, his voice gentler than it had been in months. "Good dog." The puppy took another tentative step, then another, until it was close enough for Noah to see the details he'd missed before. The protruding ribs beneath dirty fur, the scratch above one eye, the way its injured paw trembled with the effort of standing. No collar, no tags, Just another abandoned thing trying to survive. When the puppy finally pressed its cold, wet nose against Noah's hand, something shifted in his chest. A small loosening of a knot he'd carried for so long, he'd forgotten it wasn't a natural part of him. "Come on," he said, slowly reaching to scoop up the trembling creature. "Let's get you dry." The puppy stiffened but didn't struggle as Noah lifted it carefully, cradling it against his chest. He could feel its rapid heartbeat, a frantic rhythm against his own. "I've got you," he whispered, as much to himself as to the dog. "I've got you now." Inside, Noah grabbed a towel from the bathroom and wrapped the puppy in it, gently patting the matted fur dry. Under the kitchen lights, he could see the dog was even more pitiful than he'd initially thought. Ribs like piano keys beneath skin, patches of fur missing, what looked like old cigarette burns on its flank. "Who did this to you?" Noah murmured, anger flaring hot in his stomach. The puppy looked up at him with eyes that seemed too knowing, too intelligent for an animal. There was something in that gaze that made Noah pause, a depth he couldn't quite name. He found some leftover chicken in the refrigerator and shredded it into tiny pieces. The puppy ate ravenously, then lapped water from a bowl with equal enthusiasm. After eating, it seemed to relax slightly, though its eyes never left Noah, watching his every move with that same unsettling intelligence. Noah examined the injured paw carefully. It didn't appear broken, just sprained or bruised. He fashioned a makeshift wrap using a clean washcloth and tape from the first aid kit. The puppy allowed this treatment with surprising patience. "You need a name," Noah said, stroking the now cleaner fur. How about Chance? Since that's what we both got today." The puppy's ears perked up at the sound, and for the first time its tail gave a tentative wag. "Chance it is then." Noah knew his mother might object to a dog. Their apartment lease had a no-pets policy, and money was already tight. But looking at Chance, at the way the dog leaned into his touch as if starved for kindness, Noah knew he couldn't turn him away. Not when he recognized the look in those eyes so well. "We'll figure it out," he promised, scratching behind Chance's ears. "I won't let anything bad happen to you again." That night, Noah made a bed for Chance, using an old blanket in the corner of his room. But when he climbed into his own bed and turned out the light, he felt a slight weight jump up and settle against his side. In the darkness, Noah smiled, his first genuine smile in weeks, and placed a hand on Chance's back, feeling the steady rise and fall of the puppy's breathing. For the first time in months, Noah fell asleep without replaying the day's humiliations in his mind. The morning brought the reality of school and the challenge of what to do with Chance. Noah couldn't leave him alone all day, not in his current condition. After a moment's hesitation, he packed his school bag with extra supplies, a small towel for bedding, a plastic container of water, and some more shredded chicken. "You have to be very quiet," Noah instructed, helping Chance into the backpack, leaving it partially unzipped. The dog seemed to understand, settling into the makeshift nest without a sound. "Just for today until I figure something out." At school, Noah kept the backpack close, checking on Chance during bathroom breaks. The dog remained remarkably quiet and still, as if he comprehended the need for secrecy. Between classes, Noah would whisper reassurances, and once he could have sworn Chance winked at him in response. During lunch, Noah slipped away to a secluded corner of the school grounds to let Chance stretch his legs. The puppy moved gingerly on his injured palm, but seemed stronger than the day before. "You're a smart one, aren't you?" Noah mused as Chance immediately returned to him at a low whistle. The dog sat at attention, head tilted as if listening to every word. Almost too smart. It was during this moment of quiet companionship that Darren and two of his friends rounded the corner. "Well, look who's hiding out here. The freak has a secret spot." Darren's voice carried the familiar edge that made Noah's stomach clench. "What have you got there, Walker? A girlfriend?" Noah quickly moved to block Chance from view, but he wasn't fast enough. Darren's eyes widened, then narrowed with cruel delight. "A dog? You brought a mangy mutt to school? Oh, this is too good." He turned to his friends. "Hey guys, Walker's got himself a little friend, probably the only one who can stand him." "Leave him alone," Noah said, his voice steadier than usual. Something about Chance's presence at his back gave him a courage he rarely felt. "Or what?" Darren stepped closer, towering over Noah. "You gonna sick your flea bag on me?" Behind Noah, Chance growled, a sound far deeper and more menacing than should have been possible from a puppy his size. The hair along his spine stood up, and his eyes fixed on Darren with an intensity that made even the larger boy hesitate. "That thing rabid or something?" one of Darren's friends asked, taking a step back. Darren scoffed, but Noah noticed he also maintained his distance. "Whatever. Have fun getting expelled for bringing that disease thing to school. He turned to leave but couldn't resist one parting shot. Suits you though, 2 strays nobody wants. After they left, Noah released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Chance immediately relaxed, the growl subsiding as quickly as it had appeared. He looked up at Noah with those 2 intelligent eyes, and Noah could have sworn he saw concern there. Thanks for having my back, Noah said, scratching behind Chance's ears. But we should probably get you back in the bag before someone else comes. That afternoon, Noah decided to skip his last class, something he'd never done before, and take Chance home. The risk of discovery was too great, and somehow ensuring Chance's safety had become more important than perfect attendance. At home, Noah set up a proper space for Chance with a water bowl, some food, and a comfortable bed made from an old pillow. The puppy explored the house with curious enthusiasm, seeming to catalog every corner as if memorizing the layout. When Noah's mother returned home that evening, tired from her shift but with eyes that softened at the sight of her son, Noah braced himself for the difficult conversation. Mom, I need to show you something, and I need you to keep an open mind. Elaine Walker's expression shifted to wariness. Noah, what's going on? He led her to his bedroom, where Chance sat perfectly poised on the pillow bed, looking for all the world like he belonged there. Noah explained how he'd found the puppy, showing her the healing injuries and describing the condition Chance had been in. He needed me, Mom, Noah finished, voice cracking slightly. And I think I need him too. Elaine looked from her son to the dog and back again. Noah couldn't remember the last time he'd spoken so many words to her at once, or shown such passion about anything. She knelt to examine Chance, who politely offered a paw, as if greeting a new friend. The apartment doesn't allow pets, she said softly, but there was hesitation in her voice. I know, but he's quiet and I'll take full responsibility. I'll walk him, feed him, clean up after him. You won't even know he's here. The words tumbled out in a rush. Please, Mom, I've never asked for anything like this before. Elaine reached out to touch Chance's head, and the puppy leaned into her hand with a gentleness that seemed calculated to win her over. He does seem special, she admitted. He is, Noah said with conviction. There's something about him, Mom. It's like he understands everything. After a long moment, Elaine sighed. 2 weeks, she said. We'll try it for 2 weeks, and if he causes any problems, or if the landlord finds out. She left the sentence unfinished. Thank you. Noah's face lit up with a smile so bright it momentarily took his mother aback. She couldn't remember the last time she'd seen that expression on her son's face. But, she added, he needs to see a vet. That paw could be broken, and he'll need shots if we're keeping him. Noah nodded eagerly. I can use my birthday money from Grandma. It's enough to cover it. Elaine studied her son's face. The animation there, the light in his eyes that had been absent for so long. Whatever this dog was bringing out in Noah, it was something she'd been failing to reach for months. We'll figure it out together, she said and reached out to squeeze his shoulder. That night, Noah lay in bed with Chance curled against his side, recounting the day's victory. 2 weeks to prove you're perfect, he whispered, but I already know you are. Chance lifted his head, meeting Noah's eyes with that uncanny focus. Then with deliberate care, he placed a paw on Noah's chest, directly over his heart, and held it there. Noah froze. The gesture felt too intentional, too human. In the dim light of his bedside lamp, he studied Chance's face. What are you? He whispered. Chance simply tilted his head, eyes reflecting the lamplight with an amber glow that seemed to hold secrets just beyond Noah's understanding. The vet visit 3 days later brought the first hint that Chance was not an ordinary dog. Dr. Damani Shoren Reynolds, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a gentle touch, examined Chance thoroughly while Noah hovered nearby. His paw is healing nicely, she said, but I'm concerned about these old injuries. Someone treated this dog very poorly. Her mouth tightened in a way that told Noah she was restraining stronger words. Can you tell how old he is? Noah asked. Dr. Offern, Reynolds. Reynolds frowned, checking Chance's teeth, then his eyes. That's odd. What is? His teeth suggest he's young, maybe 5 or 6 months. But his eyes? She leaned closer, shining a light into Chance's eyes, who remained perfectly still for the examination. They have the clarity and focus of a much older dog, and his muscle development is unusual for a puppy. She straightened up, looking at Chance with new interest. Where did you say you found him? In our backyard during a rainstorm. He didn't have a collar or anything. Doctor, Reynolds nodded slowly. I'd like to run a few tests, if that's okay. Blood work mainly. There's something different about him. Noah felt a protective surge. Different how? I'm not sure yet, she admitted. But his responses to stimuli are more advanced than I'd expect. Watch this. She took a pen from her pocket and clicked it 3 times in quick succession. Chance immediately sat up straight. She clicked 4 times and he lay down. 5 clicks and he rolled over. I didn't teach him that, Noah said, astonished. I know. That's not a natural response, and it's not a common training pattern. She studied Chance thoughtfully. Someone trained this dog using very specific protocols. She hesitated, then added, there's a research facility about 30 miles from here, Neurocognitive Canine Research Center. They've been doing some advanced work with canine intelligence. Noah frowned. You think he might be from there? It's possible. I can make a call if you'd like. Noah looked at Chance, who stared back with those knowing eyes. Something in them seemed to plead. No, Noah said finally. Not yet. Let's just do the regular checkup for now. Doctor, Reynolds nodded, though her curiosity was evident. All right, but if you notice anything unusual in his behavior, I'd like you to let me know. As they left the vet's office with medication for Chance's remaining injuries and appointments for his vaccinations, Noah couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just stepped into something much bigger than rescuing a stray dog. You're keeping secrets, he told Chance as they walked home. But that's okay. I'm good at keeping secrets too. Over the next few weeks, Noah's life began to transform in small but significant ways. Chance's presence gave structure to his days. Morning walks before school, afternoon training sessions, evening companionship that filled the silence of the house. Noah researched dog training online, but found that Chance seemed to anticipate commands before he even gave them. Within days, the puppy could sit, stay, come, fetch, and even bring specific items when named. It's like he can read my mind, Noah told his mother one evening as they watched Chance organize his toys in a perfect line, arranging them from smallest to largest. Elaine, who had long since abandoned the 2-week trial period, nodded thoughtfully. He's certainly not like any dog I've ever seen. At school, something was changing too. Noah began walking taller, speaking more confidently in class. Knowing Chance was waiting at home gave him a sense of purpose, a reason to hurry through the day rather than dreading each moment. He started taking a different route between classes to avoid Darren, choosing evasion over confrontation, and found that preserving his peace for Chance's sake was worth the extra effort. His English teacher, Mr. Perkins, noticed the change first. After Noah volunteered an answer in class, something he rarely did, Mr. Perkins asked him to stay behind. You seem different lately, Noah. More engaged. Noah shrugged, unsure how to explain that having someone wait for him, someone who looked at him with unconditional acceptance, had begun to heal something broken inside him. I got a dog, he said simply. Mr. Perkins raised an eyebrow. A dog? He was a stray. I found him during that big storm a few weeks ago. Mr. Perkins leaned against his desk. You know, there's something powerful about being needed. It changes us. Noah thought about this on his walk home. Being needed. It was true, Chance needed him. But increasingly, Noah was aware that he needed Chance just as much. That evening, as Noah sat at his desk struggling with math homework, Chance patted over and placed a paw on the problem set. Noah looked down, surprised, as Chance used his nose to point at a specific line in the equation. What is it, boy? Chance tapped the paper again, directly on a negative sign that Noah had missed in his calculations. Noah stared, then quickly checked his work. Sure enough, he'd made an error exactly where Chance had indicated. That's not possible, Noah whispered. Chance simply wagged his tail, then returned to his bed as if nothing unusual had happened. The incident might have been dismissed as coincidence if similar things hadn't continued to occur. Chance began bringing Noah his phone moments before it rang. He growled at strangers who later proved to have malicious intent. He seemed to know when Noah was having nightmares and would wake him with a gentle paw to the cheek. Most strikingly, Chance developed a system of communication using his toys. He would bring specific objects to convey his needs. A ball when he wanted to play, a shoe when he needed a walk, a food dish when hungry. But it went beyond basic needs. One morning, he brought Noah a photo of his mother when she had forgotten her lunch on the counter. The mystery deepened when Noah discovered Chance in his room one day, paws on the keyboard of his laptop. The screen displayed a search for Neurocognitive Canine Research Center, the facility Dr. Reynolds had mentioned. When Noah entered the room, Chance quickly closed the browser tab with his nose. Okay, this is getting weird, Noah said, heart pounding. What are you trying to tell me? Chance stared at him for a long moment, then deliberately walked to Noah's bookshelf and pulled down a science magazine with his teeth. He flipped through the pages with his paw until he reached an article titled, "Breaking Boundaries in Animal Cognition, the NCC Project." Noah sat on the floor beside Chance and read the article, which described experiments enhancing canine intelligence through a combination of genetic modification and neural implants. The project had reportedly been discontinued due to ethical concerns, but not before producing several remarkable test subjects capable of problem-solving at near-human levels. "Is that what you are?" Noah asked softly. "One of their experiments?" Chance whined softly, then placed his paw over Noah's hand in what felt unmistakably like confirmation. "Did you escape? Are they looking for you?" This time Chance's reaction was more pronounced. A shudder ran through his body, and he pressed himself against Noah's side as if seeking protection. "It's okay," Noah said, wrapping an arm around the dog's shoulders. "I won't let them take you back. I promise." That night, Noah lay awake long after his mother had gone to bed, researching the NCC facility on his phone. There wasn't much information available. The center kept its work private, releasing only occasional press statements about breakthroughs in animal cognition research. Their website showed a modern building surrounded by extensive grounds, with smiling scientists and healthy-looking dogs in what appeared to be learning environments. But something about the polished images struck Noah as false, especially when he thought of the scars on Chance's body. Whatever had happened to him, there hadn't been the humane treatment depicted in those photos. Noah was about to put his phone away when he noticed Chance staring at the screen with unusual intensity. The dog's paw reached out, tapping on a name that appeared in the research team section. Dr. Eleanor Blackwood, head of cognitive enhancement. "Do you know her?" Noah asked. Chance's growl was answer enough. Over the following days, Noah continued his research, careful to clear his browsing history each time. He learned that Dr. Blackwood had published several papers on accelerated learning in canines, specifically focused on communication methods between humans and dogs. Her most recent publication, from 8 months ago, mentioned breakthrough subjects, showing unprecedented cognitive abilities. The timing aligned with Chance's approximate age. Meanwhile, Chance's abilities continued to develop. He began arranging magnetic letters on the refrigerator to spell simple words, FOODWALKPLAY. When Noah bought him a set of letter blocks, Chance quickly graduated to forming more complex messages. Door open, water bowl, quiet please. Noah kept these developments secret, even from his mother, though she clearly noticed something unusual about Chance's behavior. "That dog understands every word we say," she remarked one evening after Chance had fetched her reading glasses from the bedroom before she'd even asked for them. "He's special." Noah agreed, carefully avoiding elaboration. The turning point came 6 weeks after Noah had found Chance. He was walking home from school, taking a shortcut through the park, when he noticed a black SUV with tinted windows parked near the entrance. Something about it raised the hairs on the back of his neck, perhaps because he'd seen the same vehicle drive slowly past their house the previous day. Noah took a different route home, cutting through backyards and side streets. When he arrived, slightly breathless, Chance was waiting at the door with unusual agitation, pacing and whining. "What's wrong, boy?" Chance immediately went to his blocks, pushing them around with his nose and paws until he spelled out, "They found me." Noah's blood ran cold. "The research center?" "How do you know?" "Smell woman doctor," Chance spelled, then added, "Near house today. Dr. Blackwood was here." Noah peeked through the curtains at the street outside. No black SUV in sight, but the knowledge that they were looking for Chance changed everything. "We need to be careful. Maybe we should tell Mom." Chance barked once sharply and spelled, "No danger here." Noah understood. Involving his mother would only put her at risk too. Whatever was happening, whatever Chance really was, it had become Noah's responsibility to protect him. That night, Noah decided it was time to learn exactly what he was dealing with. He sat on his bedroom floor with Chance and a notepad. "I need to understand," he said. "What did they do to you at that place?" "How can you do all this?" Chance seemed to consider the question, his eyes reflecting a depth of thought that still unnerved Noah at times. Then he began spelling with the blocks, slowly but deliberately. "Born normal. Chosen for smart. Operations. Pain." Noah's throat tightened. "They perform surgeries on you? Brain chip. Learning drugs. Tests every day. A chip? They put technology in your brain?" Noah reached out instinctively to touch Chance's head, feeling for any sign of surgical scars beneath the fur. Chance allowed the touch but continued spelling. Escape when guard forgot lock. Ran many days. Found you. How many others are there like you? 12 begin. 3 die. Others still there. Noah felt sick. They're still experimenting on other dogs? Chance's expression, if a dog could have one, turned solemn. He spelled HELPTHEM. Me? How could I possibly? A sudden knock at the front door interrupted them. Chance immediately stiffened, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Noah crept to his bedroom window, which offered a partial view of the front porch. A woman in a neat pantsuit stood at the door, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. Beside her stood a man whose build suggested security rather than science. Dr. Blackwood. Noah's heart hammered against his ribs. Quick, he whispered, hide under the bed. Chance didn't move, his eyes fixed on Noah with what could only be described as determination. He spelled rapidly, no more running. Chance, please. They'll take you back there. Not alone now. Have you? The simple faith in those words struck Noah with unexpected force. All his life, he'd been the one who needed protection, who hid from confrontation, who made himself small to avoid notice. Yet here was Chance, who had suffered far worse than bullying, ready to stand his ground because he believed in Noah. The doorbell rang again, followed by his mother's footsteps crossing to answer it. Noah made a split-second decision. Stay here, he told Chance. Let me handle this first. He slipped out of his room and down the hallway, arriving in the living room just as his mother opened the front door. Mrs. Walker? I'm Dr. Eleanor Blackwood from the Neurocognitive Canine Research Center. The woman's voice was pleasant, but carried an undercurrent of authority that immediately set Noah on edge. I apologize for dropping by unannounced, but we're conducting a search for a research animal that escaped from our facility several weeks ago. We have reason to believe it might be in this neighborhood. Elaine frowned. A research animal? What kind? A dog, specifically a young retriever mix. It's microchipped and quite valuable to our research program. Dr. Blackwood smiled, but the expression didn't reach her eyes. If you've seen any strays recently, we'd appreciate your help. Noah's mother hesitated, and he knew she was thinking of Chance, the mysterious, too intelligent dog that had transformed her son's life. She glanced back, spotting Noah in the hallway. Noah, have you seen any stray dogs in the neighborhood lately? Besides Chance, I mean. Dr. Blackwood's attention snapped to Noah. Shush, Chance? Our dog, Elaine explained. My son found him during a storm about 6 weeks ago. He was in terrible shape, injured and half-starved. Something flickered across Dr. Blackwood's face, recognition, Noah thought, followed by calculation. How interesting. Would you mind if I saw this dog? Just to confirm it's not our missing subject. Before either Noah or his mother could respond, Chance appeared in the hallway. He walked forward with deliberate calm, stopping at Noah's side. His posture was alert but not aggressive, his intelligent eyes fixed on Dr. Blackwood. The scientist's mask of polite inquiry slipped, replaced by naked triumph. Subject C7, she breathed. Remarkable. You've survived. His name is Chance, Noah said, placing a protective hand on the dog's head. And he's not going anywhere with you. Doctor, Blackwood's smile tightened. Young man, this dog is the property of the Neurocognitive Canine Research Center. He represents millions in research funding and years of work. I'm afraid you have no choice in the matter. Elaine stepped between the visitors and her son. What are you talking about? This is our family pet. Mrs. Walker, I understand your confusion, but this dog is a genetically modified research subject with a neural enhancement chip. He's not a pet, he's a scientific breakthrough. Dr. Sharana Debrefurn. Blackwood reached into her jacket and produced a document. This is a court order authorizing the recovery of stolen research property. Noah felt the world tilting beneath him. They had prepared for this. They were going to take Chance away, back to a place of pain and experimentation. He looked down at Chance, expecting to see fear, but instead found those amber eyes steady and calm, looking back at him with complete trust. And suddenly Noah understood what needed to happen. Mom, he said quietly, Chance isn't just smart. He understands everything. He can communicate. He turned to Dr. Blackwood. That's why you want him back so badly, isn't it? Because he's the proof that your experiments worked. Doctor, Blackwood's expression hardened. This is absurd. The dog has been conditioned to respond to certain stimuli, nothing more. Really? Noah walked to the kitchen, returning with the magnetic letters from the refrigerator. He scattered them on the floor in front of Chance. "Show them, boy." Without hesitation, Chance began arranging the letters with his paw and nose. Within moments, he had spelled out, "Not going back." Elaine gasped. The security man took an involuntary step backward. Only Dr. Blackwood remained unmoved, though a flush of color had risen to her cheeks. "Parlor tricks," she said dismissively. "Clever training, nothing more." "Then how about this?" Noah challenged. He turned to Chance. "Tell them what they did to you." Chance rearranged the letters, PAIN. "Surgery, CAGE. Alone." "Stop this at once, Doctor." Blackwood snapped, but her composure was cracking. Noah pressed on. "Tell them about the other dogs. More like me. Suffering. Need help." "Doctor?" Blackwood moved suddenly, gesturing to the security man. "Enough of this charade. Jenkins, secure the subject." The man stepped forward, reaching for what looked like a control device in his pocket. But before he could activate it, Elaine Walker stepped directly in his path. "You're not touching that dog," she said, her voice steady with a mother's protective fury. "Not in my house. Mrs. Walker, please understand." "No, you understand." Elaine cut her off. "I don't know exactly what's happening here, but I know cruelty when I see it. Those scars on Chance's body, the cigarette burns, the fear in his eyes when we found him, that's not research. That's abuse. Doctor, I'm not a research." Blackwood's face hardened. "The methods are irrelevant. The results are what matter, and C-7 is the most successful subject we've produced. You have no legal right to keep him." "Actually," came a new voice from the doorway. "I think they do." Everyone turned to see Dr. Reynolds, the veterinarian, standing in the doorway, which had remained partially open during the confrontation. Behind her were two police officers and a man in a suit who introduced himself as from the Department of Agriculture's Animal Welfare Division. "I received a very interesting email yesterday," Dr. Reynolds explained, "containing documentation about unauthorized experimental procedures being performed at the NCRC. Procedures that violate at least 6 animal welfare statutes." She nodded toward Chance. "Seems someone very smart knew exactly who to contact." Noah looked down at Chance in astonishment, remembering how he'd found the dog at his computer. Chance's tail gave a single satisfied wag. What followed was a blur of legal language and documentation. The man from Animal Welfare explained that based on the evidence provided, which included internal NCRC videos, procedure logs, and evidence of falsified oversight reports, a judge had issued an emergency injunction against the research center. All experimental animals were to be immediately surrendered for evaluation and care. "You can't do this." "Doctor," Blackwood protested as one of the officers began reading her rights. "Do you have any idea what's at stake? These animals represent the future of human-animal communication, possibly even interspecies collaboration. The applications are limitless. So is your disregard for ethical boundaries, apparently." "Dr. Reynolds replied coldly. "Those applications don't justify torture." As Dr. Blackwood was escorted to a police car. Noah knelt beside Chance, who watched the proceedings with evident satisfaction. "You planned this, didn't you?" "All of it." Chance looked up at him, and in those amber eyes Noah saw not just intelligence but wisdom, and perhaps something like affection. "Chose you," Chance spelled with the magnetic letters. "Knew you understand. But why me? I'm nobody special. Hurt like me. Heart still good." The simple assessment brought tears to Noah's eyes. He'd been so focused on Chance's extraordinary abilities that he'd missed the most remarkable thing about their connection. They had recognized in each other the same wounded spirit, the same resilience. In the days that followed, the story broke across national news. The NCRC was shut down pending investigation, and the remaining enhanced dogs were placed in specialized care facilities. Dr. Blackwood and several colleagues faced charges of animal cruelty and ethics violations. The neural enhancement technology was placed under review by a bioethics committee. Through it all, Noah and his family were largely shielded from public attention, thanks to Dr. Reynolds' efforts to protect their privacy. Chance remained with them, though he now received regular checkups from specialists interested in monitoring his health and development. The other dogs from the program showed similar cognitive abilities, though none had advanced quite as far as Chance. Noah insisted on visiting them regularly, and Chance seemed relieved to reconnect with his fellow test subjects. Together, they worked with trainers to help the other dogs adjust to life outside the laboratory. At school, the dynamics shifted dramatically after a local paper ran a small story about the boy who saved the superdogs. Noah found himself the center of attention for the first time in his life. Not as a target, but as someone worth knowing. Even Darren kept his distance, whether from newfound respect or simple wariness of Noah's connection to a dog with near-human intelligence. But the most profound changes were invisible to others. Noah walked taller now, spoke with confidence that came from knowing he had made a difference. He joined the school's science ethics club and began researching animal cognition, developing a passion for understanding the minds of creatures often dismissed as just animals. His mother noticed these changes most keenly. "You know," she said one evening as they watched Chance methodically arranging his toys in the living room, "when you first brought him home, I thought you were saving him." Noah smiled, watching as Chance deliberately placed a small stuffed rabbit next to a larger toy dog, creating what appeared to be a family grouping. "Turns out we saved each other." Chance looked up at this, his amber eyes meeting Noah's with that uncanny understanding. He walked over and placed his paw on Noah's knee, then spelled out with his blocks, "Family now." "Yeah," Noah agreed, his throat tight with emotion. "Family now." Later that night, as Noah lay in bed with Chance curled at his feet, he reflected on how a single moment in the rain had altered the course of his life, how finding a shivering puppy had led him to discover courage he didn't know he possessed, to stand up against cruelty, to find his voice. "Hey, Chance," he whispered into the darkness. The dog lifted his head, attentive as always. "Thank you for finding me." Chance's tail thumped against the bedspread, once, twice, 3 times. Then he stretched forward to press his nose briefly against Noah's cheek before settling back down, a warm weight of companionship against the night. Outside, rain began to fall, soft and cleansing against the windows. But unlike the lonely downpour that had brought them together, this rain felt like renewal, like the world washing itself clean, making space for new beginnings. A bullied teen had saved a stray dog, never realizing it was a genius experiment that would change his life. But perhaps the greater truth was simpler still. A boy and a dog had saved each other, and in doing so, had changed a small corner of the world for the better. And really, Noah thought as sleep finally claimed him, wasn't that the most extraordinary experiment of all?